welcome to Speed, the show that takes Singapore property, then explains, explores and deconstructs it. Now, a very rare moment in TV and a real script writing risk. Direct your gaze away from the TV for a moment and look around you. Don't go anywhere. Did that sound too needy? Just look around. Are you happy with the way your room looks? I'm only asking because in this edition, the Speed team are examining what you should know before hiring an interior decorator. Could be very interesting if you're not feeling too happy after looking at your current interior decor just now. First though, we'll try to deconstruct the profile of a good property agent and ask that age-old question. How on earth do you choose a good one?
There are some 1,500 estate agencies operating in Singapore at the moment, and around 33,000 estate agents. All that choice, and yet the age-old question persists. How on earth do you find a good property agent? For starters, make sure the agent is registered with the Council for Estate Agencies, and you can check this out on CEA's online register. And if they are registered with CEA, what do you do next? Speed asked a well-known local real estate advisor and the executive director of the Institute of Estate Agents for some advice. Ladies, welcome to Speed. Now, for most of us, finding a good property agent means referrals from friends. But are there more proactive measures that a person can take to find a good property agent?
Well, you can ask for a face-to-face interview. You can ask them to do a presentation or a marketing plan for you. In this way, you'll be able to gauge whether this agent has a good knowledge, experience or track records.
Perhaps a client would want to call the agent and chat over the phone first. Test the agent on how well the way he communicates with the client, whether he's cold or he's warm over the phone before you decide to call them for a presentation.
So now we know how to find one. What are the attributes of a good agent?
Besides the basic duties, for example, putting up advertisements, qualifying prospective customers, a good estate agent should follow a strict code of industry, code of conduct and ethics.
Not only that, they have to do their own research on the particular property that they are marketing, and the way they conduct themselves, the way they present. Most effectively is the communication skills that the agent should have when they market a property or representing the owners.
That's the agent doing all the work. What are the pros and cons if a property seller wants to market the property by themselves?
For the seller to market the properties, they will have to answer all the inquiries by themselves. This is very time consuming. Moreover, they do not have all the relevant information on pricing and marketing plans.
Yes, it's not easy as you think it may seem to be to market your own property. It's not just merely advertising in a newspaper. There's a lot more because we need to persuade the prospective buyer to convince them to buy your property. The sellers, by doing their own marketing of their own property, they may not be able to persuade the prospective buyers, or they may not know whether the buyers have seen other properties in relative to what they are marketing.
Now, often transactions fall apart because buyer and seller can't agree on the price. So how would a good property agent avoid such a situation or mediate a situation like that if it developed?
This can be overcome when the estate agents produce the latest updated transacted prices and marketing plan. This will minimize the arguments between both parties when it comes to unrealistic prices.
Now, Speed has spoken to the Council for Estate Agencies before. And Rosa, as a practitioner, what are your feelings about the entry of the CEA into the real estate market here in Singapore?
CEA coming to the industry is good because to regulate and enhance the professionalism of the real estate industry. However, I feel that CEA is too pro-consumers, and I would love to see that CEA would work together with IEA, who has been in the industry for about 13 years, who knows the framework of the industry very well.
If you could sum up everything into a singular point, what would be your one great piece of advice about finding a good property agent?
Ask for referrals from trusted friends, relatives. Study the property classified very carefully. Ask for a face-to-face interview and presentation. As in an institute point of view, I would suggest partnering with a professional estate agents, preferably a member of the Institute of Estate Agents.
If the consumers would have done their own little bit of research, they would be able to have a little chat with the agent and to see whether they have a good presentation skills. They must look good, they must sound good, and they must have a good industry knowledge of the property industry.
Ladies, thank you very, very much for coming in to talk to us. Cheers.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Right. Okay, next time I'll feel a little more assured when shopping for a good real estate agent. More on making choices in a moment or two when Speed asks what you should know before hiring an interior designer. So stay with Speed and I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Are you ready to get on your bike again? The OCBC Cycle Singapore is back. Young or old, professional or amateur, anyone and everyone is welcome to join in the largest cycling event in Singapore. Grab your bike and join us for the ride of your life from 2nd to 4th March 2012. Log on to ocbc.cyclesingapore.com.sg for more details and register now. Event owner and organizer Spectrum Worldwide. Brought to you by OCBC Bank. The most anticipated and largest outdoor extravaganza in Singapore is back. An unforgettable experience awaits you as Chingay 2012 celebrates its 40th anniversary. Be mesmerized by the world's first 360-meter long waterway and all new water performances. Chingay 2012, 5th February, Sunday, 8 p.m. on Channel 8.
They transform the world through revolutionary ideas to propel Asia's growth in development and innovation in technology or the service sector. The Innovation Luminary Award, recognizing the best business minds in Asia. Brought to you by platinum sponsors TM Lewin, Aigner, and Yu Yan Sang. Research and knowledge partners and hotel partner.
Welcome back to Speed. Sitting comfortably? Good, then I'll begin. Maybe you could be sitting a lot more comfortably if you knew how to find the interior design firm that's just right for you. Speed's Christine Neo brings you some smart tips to point you in a right direction.
Two people, two completely different homes. One stays in a 5-room public flat nestled deep in the heartlands, the other a private condominium close to the city district. For both, hiring an interior designer began with a similar yearning to retreat to a place they can truly call their own.
I want a nice house. I want to come home to a house that makes me happy. And I have all these ideas in mind, but I need a professional to turn those ideas into reality.
Ready to get your hands dirty? Well, let's plunge right in. We've shortlisted a few smart tips while you set out to hire an interior designer or ID for your dream home. Just remember 3 C's. First, be clear. Know what you want and be certain about your design preferences. This helps both you and the interior designer as you sit down to discuss the kind of home you have in mind.
Look at magazine, Google images, pictures of houses or the kind of look that you like, that you love. Sometimes words alone are just not enough. You need to show something that they can look at, so that they can be on the same page as you.
Being clear with ideas comes quite naturally to the visually inclined usury. A typical visit to the interior designer involves a personally hand-sketched drawing of his dream home. He does this with every interior designer he meets to help communicate his vision more clearly. Upon hire, his interior designer then collects these sketches and proceeds to guide these visions, quite literally, into reality. But while crystal clarity for your home design is important, it also pays to be clear about your budget. Consider important factors like potential cost overruns as well as the total time frame needed for the renovations. And do be realistic too.
It's something that you have to figure out for yourself. If you have to take a loan, for instance, are you able to service those loans? Built in some buffer amount, maybe 10 to 15% for cost overruns. A good designer will probably be able to minimize this, the likelihood of such overruns.
Yusri set aside a budget of 25 to 30,000 Singapore dollars for his 5-room flat, eventually meeting his budget cozily at 30,000. The work included various major additions such as the TV console, fireplace, display cabinet, as well as the customized living room wall paneling. Following clarity, our second C is communication. This is an important point many tend to overlook. Working with an interior designer is highly interpersonal, so seeing eye to eye with your designer will most certainly help you overcome roadblocks that will inadvertently appear during the design process. How comfortable are you communicating ideas to your ID? And does your ID understand your living needs and lifestyle?
Usually we'll walk them through our portfolio. We'll explain, go through interesting projects that were done in the past. We actually work them through from conceptual design right down to detailed design and then material selections.
Depending on the time frame you've set aside for your home, the entire design process can be long, thorough, and very arduous. Jenny here, for instance, spent an entire year working on her home. So you wouldn't want a nasty feud to break out in the middle of a year-long dream house project, something Jenny encountered before she met Joanne. So do look for an ID you feel you can trust.
Sometimes you see somebody, you find that you can relate to them, you can trust them. But sometimes you can't. You must be able to communicate with the interior designer. You must know, they must know what you want, and you must know what you want. And that's very, very important. Because like most of the time, we cannot visualize. You know, and then if you can communicate to the interior designer what you want, that's very helpful.
Their congenial relationship paid off handsomely. Jenny's house turned out beautifully after reconfiguring several areas of her house, such as the living room, main corridor, and kitchen, to make it larger and more spacious.
This is the new kitchen. Our original kitchen actually looks very dark and it's very small. Because Mrs. Goh is a very functional, practical person, so we've actually recommended her to have a granite countertop, and so that she can bake and then she can cut in it, which is literally what she's doing at the moment. Yeah, and of course we chose a very nice warm wood tone for the cabinets. That also helps to complement the entire color scheme together.
Our final C is for credibility. And as the whole industry here is ungoverned, it is probably the most important. Where did your ID attain his or her qualifications? What are they? And what were his or her previous working experiences like? An inspection of your ID's portfolio should give you a pretty sound indication of his or her ability to deliver.
I think probably looking at the number of projects they've done in the past. I think experience is very important in our line, and a lot of things could go wrong without that.
Checking for credentials in this line, though, gets a little tedious. Interior design remains a very small and understated industry and is not widely accepted or established.
Unlike architecture, right, there are standardized methods of education, from the British standard or American standard to somehow guide the education level and the Part 1 and Part 2 accreditation of the certificate, but not so much for interior.
In countries like Singapore, for instance, interior design is not a legislated profession, and there exists to this day no central body that fully represents the national interior design community. What this means is that any ordinary contractor can claim to be an interior designer too if they think they've got the knack for it. Clients are also unduly exposed if a feud emerges between the service provider and client. This calls for a heavy word of caution for some of you potential clients out there. You do not want to land yourself in hot soup if things happen to turn bad. Remember to do your part and research well before signing any contract.
A lot of interior design firms are doing a lot of marketing, so they have their capability to draw clients into their own parameters. So meaning that a consumer once drawn in, basically have to check from the firm itself to provide credential of the interior designers serving them.
Just to make sure that they are clean on any legal tussle. They're not in any legal tussle with any customers. At the same time, perhaps talk to as many people as you know, see if they have heard of the company before, and I'm sure that's also something that is quite useful.
A good interior designer should walk you through the contract clauses before letting you sign any deal. And for your own sake, please make the most of that opportunity. Hiring an experienced interior designer is a bonus, but nothing beats hiring a reliable one.
So now you are one step closer to your dream home. Okay, as promised, there's an interesting report coming up next examining how smart retail design can translate into higher sales. Stay tuned.
Special variety series in celebration of 55 years of music. We'll love tunes from a past of nostalgia. Come reminisce the past with evergreen melodies that still bring much enjoyment till today.
Siapakah idola anda?
Catch the brand new series every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. on Suria.
An Indonesian kid working hard to earn a couple of rupiah on a sweltering day in congested Jakarta. An educated mother who has left her city career to be at home. And in Ghaziapur, 150,000 Kabaris support themselves and their families by recycling 60% of the city's waste. Let's look at the rise of the unseen dollar, premiering tonight at 9:30 p.m.
Welcome back to Speed. Would you pay top dollar for a room in a quirky themed boutique hotel in Little India? And why do you always buy more than you wanted when you're out shopping? Well, that's the power of design, as Speed producer Dipashri Das explains.
Glitzy appliances, fancy furniture, and the latest in kitchen gadgets, beautifully arranged for that most special of guests, you, the customer. From the moment you walk into the store, be mindful that if something catches your eye, it was not just a simple coincidence. In fact, each single detail has been meticulously planned by retail interior designers.
What we have to do is actually put ourselves in the shoes of the consumer, go through the motion. From there, we put our thoughts into pens and paper, and then we develop the schematic. From there, that's where the art comes from, creating a flexible layout for the stores and interest, of course. So what we usually do is whatever the store wants to sell, we put it out front so that we attract the customer from coming into the store.
Hendra Sutejo is co-founder of Singapore-based design firm Orb Associates. Along with his partner, Lau Chun Hung, Hendra blends consumer science and art to design retail stores.
First, you must create awareness. You have to have a good advertisement to draw the crowd in. So when they're in the store, environment that you create has to be very conducive. Customers should be able to flow through the flow of the store.
This understanding comes in handy when designing the stores of leading Australian retail chain Harvey Norman in Singapore. It was at the prominent Harvey Norman store at Millennium Walk that Speed caught up with the man who runs the show, Angelo Augustus.
We first lay out the store, keeping in mind our clientele needs not just one category, but all categories. Make it easy for them, firstly, when they walk into our store, to have the wow effect. Secondly, the clientele or the customer has to feel very comfortable, not just with the design, but also with the layout of the shop. He has to have in his vision the whole category that we sell.
If you came here to buy a refrigerator, you will possibly also consider other items like blenders, printers and washing machines along the way. Because that's how the shopper path has been designed. Impulse items and bargains are placed along the way, tempting you to buy more than you intended to.
We want the same consumer to walk in and not just buy a television or not just buy a computer. Ultimately, your aim is for them to buy all four categories from you under one roof.
Having worked with Harvey Norman since 2004, Hendra and Lau aim to maximize the ROI on its retail space. Lighting, flooring, attractive displays and advertising are all part of the grand design plan. Design is also the core of driving brand differentiation in the competitive hospitality sector. A boutique hotel in Little India uses design as its calling card. Housed in a conservation building, the Wanderlust Hotel is positioned as a unique experiment in design.
We set about this hotel, the philosophy really was to have as much fun as possible, to just have something like an adult's playground. The name gives a little hint of the kind of customer we're looking at. You know, we called it Wanderlust because I always realized that whoever came to stay with us here would be someone with a sense of adventure, someone who wanted something a little different, and someone who was willing to get out of their way and stay in Little India and have a different experience.
Mr. Low broke quite a few rules when he hired not interior designers but local graphic designers to design his hotel, one for each floor. Walk into any of the Pantone rooms on level 2 designed by Fung Studio and you'll get your first taste. Color is the theme here. Interestingly, level 3 designed by DP Architects is in stark contrast. It's pure monochrome, black and white. Pop art in various forms, chair, gramophone, lampshades inject humor and creativity into the space.